Hey Jules, it's Brian. I'm on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, and they're not looking good, I want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good, have good times, same to my parents and everybody, and I just totally love you, and I'll see you when you get there. Bye, babe. I hope I call you. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, the sky over Boston was impossibly clear. The kind of blue that makes you think nothing bad could ever happen. Brian Sweeney woke early that morning. He was 38 years old, a former Navy pilot who had served during the Gulf War, flying F-14 Tomcats off the deck of the USS America. After the military, he had built a quiet life, working as a business consultant, settling in Barnstable, Massachusetts, with his wife, Julie. They had been married for less than 2 years. He was heading to Los Angeles for a business trip. He kissed Julie goodbye, drove to Boston's Logan Airport, and boarded United Airlines Flight 175. People who knew Brian Sweeney described him the same way: steady, brave, but not loud about it. The kind of man who had landed fighter jets on aircraft carriers in the dark, then come home and coached Little League without ever mentioning the carrier landings. He had a gift for calm under pressure. It was trained into him, yes, but those who knew him said it went deeper than training. It was who he was. When Flight 175 pushed back from Gate C-19 at 7:58 that morning, Brian took his seat in row 15. The Boeing 767 carried 56 passengers, 9 crew members, and 5 hijackers. At 8:42 a.m., 14 minutes after takeoff, United Flight 175 made its last routine radio transmission with air traffic control. Within minutes, 5 men affiliated with Al-Qaeda seized the aircraft. They used knives and the threat of a bomb. They forced their way into the cockpit. The pilots were overcome. The plane, now under hijacker control, banked sharply south. In the cabin, passengers felt the sudden, violent turn. Some could see through the windows that they were descending over New York City. The skyline was unmistakable, and by then, word had begun to spread, through whispered phone calls, through the seatback phones, that another plane had already struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center 17 minutes earlier. The passengers aboard Flight 175 began to understand that this was not an ordinary hijacking. There would be no negotiation, no landing. In those final minutes, several passengers reached for the earphones embedded in the seats ahead of them. They called loved ones. They called to say goodbye. Brian Sweeney, the Navy pilot who had spent years making split-second decisions at 600 miles per hour, made one more. He picked up the phone and dialed home. He called Julie. It was approximately 8:58 in the morning. The phone rang in their house in Barnstable. No one answered. The call went to voicemail, and Brian Sweeney, with minutes left to live, began to speak. Think about that for a moment. You are on an airplane. You know what is about to happen. You have one phone call, one chance to leave a message, and the person you love most in the world is not there to pick up. You hear the beep, and then you have to decide, right now, what your last words will be. Brian did not use those seconds to express rage. He did not describe the horror around him. He did not beg for help. He said, "Hey Jules, it's Brian," as if he were calling from a work trip, as if he might be home for dinner. He told her the truth. "I'm on an airplane that's been hijacked." And then he did something that has stayed with people for over 2 decades. He turned his last words into a gift. "I want you to do good, have good times, not survive, not mourn, have good times." With everything collapsing around him, Brian Sweeney chose to give his wife permission to live, to go on, to find joy, to not be imprisoned by grief. And then he said 5 words that have echoed through every memorial, every documentary, every quiet moment someone has spent thinking about that day. I'll see you when you get there. He was a man of faith. He believed they would meet again. And he wanted those to be the words she carried. Not fear, not despair, a promise. Then he said goodbye the way he always did. Bye, babe. And added one last line, almost to himself. I hope I call you. As though some part of him still held out hope that the ending might be different. At 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower of the World Trade Center. All 65 people on board were killed. Brian Sweeney's voicemail had been recorded roughly 5 minutes before impact. The message was 54 seconds long. Julie Sweeney was not home when Brian called. She had gone to the gym that morning. By the time she returned, the world had already changed. The television was showing images she could not process. She knew Brian's flight. She knew the departure time. And then she saw the answering machine, the red light, blinking. She has described the moment in interviews over the years, pressing play, hearing his voice, the ground falling away beneath her. The voice was calm. That was the part that broke her. He sounded like Brian, not a man about to die, just Brian, calling home, steady as he ever was. In the years that followed, Julie, who later remarried and became Julie Sweeney Roth, carried Brian's message with her. She has spoken publicly about it with extraordinary grace, not to seek attention, but because she believed Brian's words belonged to more than just her. She once said that the voicemail was the greatest gift she ever received and the hardest thing she has ever had to hear. She honored his request. She had good times. She lived her life. She did good. Not because the grief was small, but because he asked her to. Today, Brian Sweeney's voicemail is preserved in the archives of the National September 11th Memorial and Museum in New York City. Visitors can listen to it. Many do, and almost all of them leave that exhibit in silence. It is one of the most visited artifacts in the entire collection, not because it is dramatic, but because it is human. In 54 seconds, a man who had minutes to live chose love over fear, peace over panic, and hope over despair. He did not know his voicemail would become one of the most well-known recordings in American history. He was just a husband calling his wife. That is what makes it unbearable, and that is what makes it sacred. If you had 54 seconds, and the person you loved most was not there to answer, what would you say? I think about that sometimes. I think most of us do. Brian Sweeney did not have time to prepare. He did not get to revise or reconsider. He just spoke from the center of who he was. And what came out was love. If this story stayed with you, I'd ask you to do one thing before you go. Not subscribe, not click. Just call someone you love today. Tell them what Brian told Julie. And if you want to hear more stories like this one, stories of ordinary people in extraordinary moments, we'll be here. Thank you for listening.